Revelation chapter 16, an interesting chapter. And I'd like to just read a few verses of chapter 15 as an introduction to the 16th chapter. And so, going back to chapter 15, who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For you only are holy, for all of the nations come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. And after that I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And one of the 4 living creatures, the cherubim, gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials, full of the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. So that's the introduction to chapter 16. We're in heaven. John beholds this one of the cherubims who is giving to the 7 angels these bowls of God's wrath, which will complete really the great judgment of God upon the earth. This culminates and brings to an end the judgment of God. We will, in chapters 17 and 18, get some just particulars, sort of fill in, you might say, of some of the events, but basically with these 7 bowls of God's wrath completes the judgment of God upon this Christ-rejecting earth. The things that will happen in 17 and 18 are just sort of additions to. Here's further information, but not necessarily in a chronological order. The Bible, in the style of writing, often does this. It gives you sort of a general overall picture, and then it comes afterwards and begins to fill in details. And so that's what we'll have in chapters 17, 18, and all the fill-in of details of these same time frame as these events that we're reading about. So, chapter 16, I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the bowls of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went, poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome or a running and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. At this particular point, there are not many people left on the earth who have not received the mark of the beast or have worshipped him. Those who did refuse to take the mark, those that refused to worship the Antichrist, were martyred. A great number of people will be martyred for their testimony of Jesus Christ at this time, refusal to take the mark of the beast. And so the number of people is really very small. Most of the people on the earth at this particular time are those that have been rebelling against God, and so the final bowls of God's wrath being poured upon them. This running sore or ulcer, kind of a sore that doesn't heal, the noisome and running sore is like a boil of sorts. You remember when Moses went to the Egyptian Pharaoh and demanded that he turn the children of Israel free from their bondage, that Moses took some ashes out of the furnace, threw them in the air, and it brought the plague of boils upon the Egyptians. And so here again we find a plague of more or less boil type things. In Isaiah chapter 1, verse 5, God said, "Why should you be stricken anymore?" Talking to Israel for their just rebellion against God. He said, "Your whole head is sick." Or God is just saying, "You're sick." And the whole heart, he said, is faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it. But there are wounds and bruises and putrid sores. And this is again what God is sending out. And they've not closed, nor neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. And so he's talking about these sores that are breaking out on the people, running sores. An interesting thing, one of the byproducts of the atom bomb was the radiation that the people who were near the bomb were radiated with a high dosage of radiation, which caused a ulcerated kind of sores, and so many people died as a result of these sores from an atomic bomb. It is possible that with this war that is coming, that there will be a widespread use of atomic weapons, which would mean a great deal of radiation, which would, of course, cause these kinds of open running sores on people that will ultimately take their lives. And there are other indications that the atomic weapons that are being developed and are in existence will be used in a final kind of a conflict or war here on earth. And we cannot really in our minds imagine the devastating effect of such a war. And so, verse 3, the second angel poured out his vial or bowl upon the sea, and it became as the blood of the dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. Going again back to Egypt, the Lord caused the Nile River, as Moses smote it with his rod, to turn to blood, and the people could not drink the water of the Nile River. Back in the 8th chapter of Revelation, when the second angel sounded, there was a great mountain burning with fire, cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood. Here with this bowl of God's judgment, it says the entire sea actually becomes blood. And it says, I heard the angel of the waters say, "Thou art righteous, O Lord, which are and was and shall be, because you have judged thus. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and you have given them blood to drink, for they deserve it." And I heard another out of the altar say, "Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments." As Jesus